Good evening and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. We're going to fight CPS and stop taking our children. It's Monday evening, the 26th of August, and I'm broadcasting this from Southern California, a place called Surf City, USA. I'm about a block from the ocean, and we had a pretty hot day. The ocean breeze wasn't around as much as it has been in the past. But I'm so glad that you found this podcast because I want to share with you ideas of how to fight CPS and how to get your children back or keep your children. It's a bad agency, the Child Protection System. I call it the Child Protection System, abbreviated as CPS. And good evening, Jesse Lake. I think you've been on before. If you could tell me your name and your city and state, that'd be great. Now, I'd like to get in really quick and talk how you can interact with this podcast so that I get that out of the way. One of the first ways you're interacting is just being in this room. Just being in this room and listening and taking notes. That's the first way. The second way is that you may want to type in a comment or a question. And I'd love to hear from you. So when you type in a comment or question, make sure it pertains to CPS. I placed it on the screen, as you can see. Please show your name, city, state, or country. Now, when I say country, yes, we are worldwide podcast. We are worldwide. And Jesse's from Missouri. And she says the director of the Department of Social Services adopted her twins in Missouri. And that's a horrible thing to hear because you as the parent should have your twins. And we'll get more into your case when I get through telling how we interact. Now, when I meant say states is that this podcast is found on Facebook. It's broadcast on YouTube, and it has the StreamYard application I use. And so I do have countries that have tuned in to us and have commented, and I welcome them. I've had Bangladesh, New Delhi, India, South Africa, the province on the West Coast, across from Madagascar is the country of, I forgot the country now. Mozambique. I don't want to forget the Mozambique country. It's on the East Coast, across from Madagascar. It's above South Africa. Trying to, okay. Now, South Africa has little states, so they're called provinces. And the one that called in, let me see if I can get that province. Anyway, it's on the West Coast, the province in South Africa. And then above that is the country of Mozambique. It's across from Madagascar. And the other country is Rwanda, which is near Lake Victoria. And that's in Central East Africa. And Rwanda is a small country. And in 1994, they had a civil war that was terrible. 1 million people were killed or slaughtered or massacred, and 500 females were raped. It was a terrible time, but they've come around there, and they've come around there. Now on the west coast in North Africa is a town called it's a country called Liberia, and they've also texted in. Then we go to the country of Europe, and we've had England, Scotland, and Wales, the part of the United Kingdom, that have texted in. We've also had Denmark and Sweden. Then across the pond, we have North America. We've had both coasts of Canada that's texted in. We've had all the 50 states, including the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota, the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma. The Cherokee Nation used to be in Florida, but it got relocated. It is in Oklahoma. And we've had them call in and so forth. So we've had a lot of interest in CPS. And I'm afraid to say that isn't the great organization should be. The child protection system is very corrupt. They're not transparent, and they will traffic your children. They will take your children. So you got to be really, 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 really careful. And so further south in Mexico, we've had a gentleman trying to locate his two daughters in Louisiana, actually called in. And then in South America, we've had Guyana. And Guyana is on the east coast, opposite Venezuela, north of Brazil, as a coastal town of Georgetown. They've texted in. Then across the Pacific Ocean, the land down under, we've had Australia. Several people called in. So I have had comments from these countries as well as all the 50 states. I've talked to 3 social workers. One was a clinical license psychologist from Maryland that had 6 months of advanced training at the Maryland about their CPS. Another one was from Indiana. That was a third-party social worker hired by CPS. Another one was a foster mom. So I have had people that are from foster families and so forth. So I'm starting to get a lot more people. But the majority of the people have called in and tell me that CPS is bad. It's evil. They take your children. They traffic your children. They don't do family reunification. And even if there's no imminent danger, they take your child. They steal your child. So anyway, when you comment a question or anything, try to be complete with your case. Try to be complete with your case. Start off by telling what your family is made up. Is it a husband, wife, a girlfriend, boyfriend, lovers, or a partnership? Are you both involved parents with the kids? Or are you a single parent? Are the kids the same father and mother? Are they different fathers and mothers? Also, what are the ages of the kids and the sex of the kids? 3 young boys, 3 young girls, or teenagers, or what they are. But it helps me if you describe what your family's like. And lastly, what were the allegations? Were you neglect or abuse or both? And then were the children taken from your home? Did you give them up to them? Did you demand them in your home? Did there's domestic violence going on and you're fighting with them and the children were exposed, or maybe the children were caught up in it, being strangled or hit against the wall or something? They're going to enter. They're going to enter. They are going to enter it. And that is important, that you sort of let me know these kinds of things. So, also, you can tell me, if they were have a court order or you give permission. There's several ways they can be taken from you. But I'd like to know. And then where are you at on your case? Are you in the beginning, been a couple of years, or what? So that's how you can be complete with your case. So that's the second way of interacting with this podcast. The third way to interact with this podcast is to try to schedule as our guest. I can take up to 9 people at one time. A total with me is 10. And all you have to do is email our show producer, Grace. She works hard behind the scenes. I want to thank her. She works very, very hard to make this podcast possible, to make sure that everything goes smoothly. She will help you when you email her to get on as a guest. There is no eating food or smoking on the podcast. Furthermore, we don't show names of the children, and we don't show names of the social workers or the judges. So to be the guest, you're just going to email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. I got it on the screen so you can see it. And all you have to do is tell her I want to be on Bob's, one of his 14 shows. It could be Wednesday morning, Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening. I'm on at 10 o'clock every day Pacific Standard Time for 1 hour. But then on Sunday, I come on early at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. I have family commitments with church on Sunday morning. So I do my podcast early. That's the only exception in the morning. Then in the evening, I'm on at 7 o'clock for 1 hour Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. There are exceptions sometimes during the week, and I'm telling you, a week from this Friday on September 6th, I will do my podcast at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'll do it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a commitment with my family that Friday evening. It's the football season, and so I like to support and watch my son. So email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's the third way. The fourth way is to call in. And now you can call in. My phone is live. You call in at 626-698-0990. That's my office number. It will directly ring me on my phone. I use Vonage, which is the internet phone system. And it rings my phone, and I answer it. And you can talk about your case on my speakerphone, and everybody will hear you. Everybody will hear you. So there's 4 ways. 1, just by being in the room. 2, by doing comments. 3, by being a guest. And 4, by calling in. Also, I like it if you can use emojis. It's nice to have some interacting. So if you want to put some emojis up, that's great. That is super great. So my show is open up to you now, and we can do a lot of different things. I have over 50 topics we can talk about. I have the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. I have the 388 motion. I have the 160 JV motion. I have so many different topics. ICPC, transfer between states, guardianship, and all the different things that may come up. So I can talk about those. I can also talk about my case, which is a very troubling. I've been in the same boat you are. I'm a family man. I have 6 children, 3 older and 3 younger. And I've been married 31 years. And unfortunately, at my age of 60, I lost my job through no fault of my own. And I was struggling. And unbeknownst to me, a layperson was making false allegations. And so for 5 years, I had to fight off CPS with the false allegations. 5 years to finally they got the police to intimidate me and take me back to home so they could find something wrong there. And in fact, I had them in my home. So it wasn't too lately when my mom and dad died that I had their belongings. I was sorting through them. So my living room had boxes and furniture in there. Not the rest of the house, just the living room. And that's what they got me on. That's what they were trying to do. That's what they were trying to do. So CPS has done me harm. It took them to 2015 to when they took the children. I was 65 then, 5 years later, that they took me. And that's something you should not be experienced in your golden year. I had to sell my home I worked 40 years for, to get money to pay for an attorney. That's how important my family was, because my younger family, my girl and 2 boys, were stolen, were trafficking into CPS, into foster care. They were attempted to be alienated. And it was a terrible thing they went through. It was a terrible. I lost one of my 3 children. I also, as I say, I lost my home. I lost my credit. It became horrible for me. But I'm here to help you because I care about you, and I don't like to see you struggling, not where to turn. A lot of you have income problems, and so you can't have a lot of money to spend on this. And I know that is hard. I've been there. I know what it's like. Now, I have people that come to my room quite often. I have Faye Mandley, who's from Richmond, Kentucky, and she's usually in my room about this time, but she's beneath the weather today, so she may have not felt all that great to come here, so I'm going to see if she's coming. Also, I have a co-host that came back, but then she's been missing the last so many times, so I don't know if I lost my co-host. That was Danielle from Georgia, and but she was my co-host. And then I have Natia from West Hollywood. So I've alerted the people because somehow the notifications don't come out at 7 o'clock that I'm on. It comes out later and they find out, and I get sometimes people come into my room, with 5 minutes left. And I wish there was something I could do about that. But I don't know how to work the notifications or how it works or stuff like that. Now, you're probably seeing a number up there on the screen that I haven't talked about. It's a orange with yellow numbers on it. That number is my office to schedule a consultation with Mr. W. Davis. I have a special arrangement I made with him to offer consultations for 30 minutes for $60. All you have to do is say my name. And that number is for getting him. I want to thank Mr. Davis, who produces this podcast. He's a talented individual. He works hard. He has a podcast himself. He is a lawyer of 35 years. He is a juvenile family dependency lawyer, been fighting CPS for 35 years. He has successfully won cases and returned the children. He also has done lawsuits and won both in federal and state courts, millions of dollars. So he's a real fighter. He's the real deal. He's also a trial attorney. He can do criminal cases too. He's a trial attorney. Now, you're in dependency court. The only way you end up in criminal court is if the district attorney decides to place charges against you, which was in my case too. I was doubled whammy. I was slammed by the child protection system and I was slammed by the criminal court, and they tried to duplicate the charges. And what was sad about it is the child protection system wouldn't do anything until the criminal matter was, and they stretched it for a whole year. And I was trying to make deals with them, but they never would. And I gave up. I should have stayed and hold my course and not say I had to do a plea deal. And the plea deal was an awful thing I did. Never do plea deals. Never give up your children. Never sign a safety plan. Those are all bad things. Those are all bad things. Now, Jesse Lake, did you want to call in from Missouri and talk about your case? She said that the department, the director of the Child Protection Services, has adopted her two twins. And that's an awful feeling. That's an awful feeling. So, Jesse, here's your opportunity to call into my number. Again, it's 626-698-0990. And you can talk on the show. I'll put you on speakerphone. Now, going back to this number on my screen, it's important that you talk to Mr. Davis. It's the best $60 you ever spent. And all you have to do is say, when you call that number, that Bob Pace sent you. And then when you talk to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. Now, also the ticket below, there is a ticket that is the website for Mr. Davis. And it's https:// CALENDLY.com/APPTSVWD/Bob Pace. When you go to that website, you'll see his calendar and you can schedule your time that he has a window. Again, it's 30 minutes and it's for $60. It's a special discounted Zoom consultation with the man himself, the man that is the best in the business for getting your kids back. So I'm offering you that. You have nothing to lose by calling in, and I hope you do. And some of you may say, well, what about a court-appointed attorney? The court-appointed attorney won't help you in this matter. First of all, they're carrying 30 or more clients, so they're extremely busy. They don't have time to talk to you outside of court. The first time you meet your court-appointed attorney, you'll be at the hearing, at the court. And they may come out and talk to you for a few minutes out in the lobby. But in my case, in California, you're not allowed to be in the courtroom. And if you have an attorney, this is where it gets tricky, then you have to go through him. You can't approach the judge. You have to be pro se to talk in the court. And to be pro se, you have to get rid of your attorney. You cannot have it. That means you're going to represent yourself. And I don't recommend either because the legality system in basic court is very difficult. I compare dealing with CPS like dealing with open heart surgery. As you know, in open heart surgery, you need a professional doctor to cut open your chest, to go there with your external organs, get your heart, and repair what they have to do. The same thing is true about the child protection system. CPS is very corrupt. You have to know how to navigate, and you have to know the court proceedings. You'll be eaten alive. I tried that. I tried a court-appointed attorney. They did nothing. They just want an easy way out. They don't have money. They're new, and their case loaded is too much. So I had a terrible experience with a court-appointed attorney. I'm not saying you can't use them, but I am saying use that your chances of getting your kids back are nil with a court-appointed attorney. So you need the real deal. You need to get a juvenile family dependency lawyer. And I suggest you talk to Vincent Davis for that 30-minute consultation for $60. Also, you can talk about his retainer. He will defend you, and no matter what state you're in, he will defend you. The thing is, when he goes out of state or Northern California, his expenses, he has per diem. That means he has transportation expenses. Good evening, and is this Jesse Lake?
Yes, it is.
Welcome, Jesse Lake. I thought that was you that came up, and thank you so much. I have Jesse Lake
Yeah.
on the phone right now, and congratulations. I got Natalie back after being gone for 2 weeks, and she says, "Sorry, the internet was crazy. It charged me lots of money, and but she's back. So I'm welcome you, Natalie. You were sorely missed." On the phone line, I have Jessica Lake, who has a case involved in Missouri where the director of CPS, the system there in Missouri, has taken her twins.
This is true.
That's hard to
Um,
believe. What deal
yeah.
did that lady make with you to take your twins?
So they were placed with her. If you remember me telling my story, initially she got foster placement of them, um, basically just kind of embellishing her familial type to me. She wasn't really family at all.
Could you maybe do
Um,
a conflict of interest and ask the social worker to be changed?
well, this is already past tense. It's done and over with. She's already adopted one set of twins. Remember, I had a second set of twins.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Midway through the battle, yeah. And what they did was they forged drug test results for myself and the father when the new babies were a month old in order to remove them. And at the time, I could not prove that they were forged because I was no expert in.
Did you maybe have drug tests yourself to show that you're drug free?
I immediately went and did one. We immediately went out and did new tests. Both tested negative. They still kept the girls, saying they wanted to subpoena all 4 medical review officers, and that didn't happen. They subpoenaed one gentleman that I believe the guy was.
Well, you can actually have the person that did the drug testing from you appear as your witness in court. Are you using a court-appointed attorney?
Let me tell you what happened. So after that, this was all in 2020. My daughters were born in 2020. They finally held the TPR hearing on the older girls. So they did it strategically. This is a Missouri public official seeking adoption of my older twin daughters. Now at the time were 5. She got placement of them right before their first birthday. So I fought for them. Couldn't get them back. Had the second set. The director goes, puts these forged drug test results on us, holds a TPR hearing 6 months after removing the second set of babies wrongfully. And instead of given a hearing, we were told you have 2 choices. Either surrender your parental rights to your older girls voluntarily, and if you do that, obviously the director can adopt them, and then we will grant you a guardianship on your babies, which would allow you to one day reverse the guardianship and get them back under your care. Your second option is if you fight this and take it to trial and you lose, we'll take all 4 of your girls and put them up for adoption. And we had 1 hour to decide. We had one paid attorney, one state-appointed attorney. It was clear they both just completely they didn't fight for us at all. It was all premeditated. Anyway, we chose that day to surrender our rights to the older girls to save the babies. And since the older girls had already been with the director for the last 4 years of their 5 years of life, so they were adopted. Now here I am, present day. The little ones are now, they'll be 4 in October, and I am in a contested guardianship reversal litigation. So the woman that I signed over guardianship to the babies now has decided she doesn't want to give them back, when initially...
That is true, because you have to understand, you can't trust social workers. That was really...
She's not a social worker. She was a foster parent, but...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said she was a director of social services.
Well, the director got the first set of girls. Remember,
so this is another foster care. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so I ended up signing the babies over to a woman that my oldest son had been placed with because the director did not want him. It's just an absolute mess.
Well, what I
Destroyed
don't
my
understand
family.
is why the conflict of interest wouldn't hold up in court. If you have a director,
Because no one was fighting it. No one was going to bring it to the court.
What was the court-appointed attorney
Fair.
doing? What was the
Now I have a
court-appointed
criminal
attorney?
case.
What was the court-appointed
Huh?
attorney doing? What was the court-appointed attorney doing?
Not a damn thing. Sitting there.
Did you
Nothing.
talk to him? Did you sit there and say, "Look"?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I have an audio tape of myself at like 2 days before that alleged TPR hearing was supposed to occur, and I'm like saying to him, "Listen, if you've been made an offer or made a deal of some sort, and you have decided that you don't want to do this, represent me, please tell me. I will have so much more respect for you. But I feel like something's not right."
Well, you could fire a court-appointed attorney. You could fight it. You go a couple ways with that. You can fire him.
Well, listen, this is all over with.
Okay.
It's all over with, except for now. I have hired an attorney to represent me in the guardianship reversals. He has charged me roughly $20,000 in the last 4 months of litigating. I've passed a 15-panel hair test. I paid for the home study to be done and completed. It went well. I paid for supervised visitation with my daughters, $60 an hour. So I usually do about an hour and a half, $90 a weekend, plus the gas for commute, plus any activities for myself and the supervisor. I have to pay for her admission as well if we go to a public place. I had done everything I need to do, and these girls are still not back with me. And now I get a message from the law firm today that I believe, I'm too scared to call back. I know what he's going to say. He's going to drop me as a client because of my balance.
Well, you could sue him because he's supposed to represent you, and that is sad that there are attorneys out there that are very, very sick that rip you off.
Oh yeah, when I did that 15-panel hair test back in May, the lab manager of the test, or the laboratory that I completed the testing at, when I was scheduling the test, I had a conversation with him, and I explained to him that, "Sir, I'm coming in to do this 15-panel test. It's very important that it's done, handled with care because I had a bad experience." I told him that it was his laboratory's logo on the test results that were forged that were used to take away my daughters 3 years ago. Not only that, but they're the very test results that got me to surrender my rights to the older girls and sign these babies into a guardianship. It never should have none of it occurred. But they forged these test results and scared me I was so terrified. I literally surrendered my own rights to save the babies. Surrendered my rights to the older girls to save my babies. Well, now the gentleman says, "Bring those test results with you." And I said, "Okay." And I brought them with me that day when I did the 15-panel hair test for the current litigation over the little girls, the littlest one. And I left him with the results, and I followed up a couple weeks later, and I have the audio tape. I can play it right now. The gentleman confirmed 100% those test results were absolutely altered. They changed the cutoff levels on them. They changed the metric used. It reflects a liquid metric, like milliliters, on a hair test. That is absolutely inaccurate, and no system can make that much of an error. Someone physically went in and altered those results that has resulted in me losing all 4 of my little girls and destroying my whole family and my life. I mean, entirely. It's just a nightmare.
Well, what's so sad is that you got, now, how did you find this attorney that you're paid for? How did you find him?
I just looked up a, reputable law firm in the Midwest and came across Stanky Law Firm. And, I gave him a hefty retainer. And after that, it was like,
I'm just saying that this law firm is going to be held accountable. You can file against the bar against that attorney.
I guess so, but people say, call the bar. It's not that simple. You can't get anyone on the phone. You have to submit a formal complaint. We were supposed to go to trial on this at the end of this month. He has allowed the other case party, the guardian, to dictate everything. He has failed to file a single motion on my behalf and is failing. He refuses to subpoena the lab manager to testify. When I have paid him to subpoena him, he he even gave me a dollar amount that I needed to pay in order to have the manager subpoenaed, and the manager was willing. He is willing and absolutely willing to help with his testimony, confirming that, when you're reversing a guardianship, the judge is looking at a couple of things. One, the original reason that the children went into the guardianship, what was that situation, and has it been remedied? Is it still an issue? So,
well, the only reason why your children were taken is because of the hair follicles tested positive for drugs.
Yeah.
So if you could prove that it's not there,
that is absolutely pertinent to my case for the judge to know that. It's nothing else for my own character.
Have you? I know you listened to me long enough. Have you thought about talking to Vincent Davis for $60 for 30?
I can't afford him. I can't afford any of it anymore.
I don't mean to hire him. I don't mean to hire him, to talk to him for 30 minutes.
I did a couple of years ago, before I had confirmation that those test results were forged.
So you have talked to Mr. Davis.
I need an attorney that is willing to take a chance on this and compare it to that Deanna Fogarty Holloway case in California, the right to lie, where those social workers committed perjury to take a woman's child, and that mother and daughter sued, and they got $9.6 million or something like that. This case is very similar, but much worse.
Yeah.
This woman forged drug tests. The only thing is connecting her directly with those forged results. Well, we have a motive. She wanted the older girls, and she saw how well I was doing, and she got scared that she was not going to be able to get away with it legitimately, and so she,
Have you gone to the ombudsperson of the state of Missouri or the civil rights coordinator?
I'm sorry, repeat that. Have I talked to whom?
They're at the state level in Missouri. There's a person called the ombudsperson or the civil rights coordinator.
No, because everyone is connected to her. Everyone is connected.
Even
to her.
at the state?
Not that specific individual, but she is the director of the state. Literally, she was former acting. Now she's chief operating officer of the Department of Social Services.
Wait. Is she at the county level and also the state level?
Yes, she's over the whole entire state.
Well, there's a conflict of interest. You see?
No kidding. And it was just.
Well, this is where I can't believe these attorneys are that stupid. The guy you got there. I wish
that they don't want to go up against this woman. She has fought her way through this and destroyed.
Well, Vincent will fight them. He's a fighter. But,
I wish he would. Yeah. I need an attorney who's willing to take us, and everybody gets paid when we win. I want justice for what has happened to my girls. My poor mother retired this week, and she has no retirement. Really, we have nothing to live on because it has all been spent fighting for these little girls. And you know what? It's hurting them.
Yeah.
It's just hurting them, to be away from their mother.
Oh, bouncing around and not knowing who their mother is. Yeah, those first 5 years are so precious.
They know who I am. They know who I am.
No, I know that, but they don't understand it. They are only 5 years old.
Yeah. No, there's 3. The little ones now will be 4 in October. That's the ones I'm fighting for. The little ones. The older ones that are 7 now, I can't fight for them anymore because they've been adopted. Unless I can get criminal prosecution against this woman for forging court documents in order to steal my daughters, I think it's going to start with a police report. I was advised to file that police report, but my attorney says, don't do it. Don't be messy while you're so close to getting the little ones. Don't be messy with sparking up something with, a lawsuit pertaining to the older girls. It's it's all connected. And I think for him to not allow that lab manager to test it, not only allow, but to not welcome it with open arms to the court is completely not in my, best interest at all. Why would he not want that testimony of that gentleman stating what he sees on those papers is fraudulent? And I'm just one woman. I'm just one woman, and I can't get anyone to help, and I'm going to lose my daughters for good, and it is going to destroy me if this happens. It just seems so wrong, and I feel like, God is not going to let this happen.
Well, you're going to have to go to the federal government, to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And you need to go there.
I filed a FOIA request, and they responded, and they redacted, and they forwarded it to another department. I need senators. I need people.
Well, right. You need to get the government.
Really,
you need to get Congress involved in this. This is really bad.
It needs to be treated exactly what it was, a crime. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A criminal investigation needs to be opened up on that woman, because what they did is not acceptable. It's just like someone running and snatching your babies out of your arms, literally, in the Target parking lot, and you never getting them back. And this residual grief, you're grieving and mourning these children that are still alive. And I mean, I think the only thing it's done is kept my adrenaline nerves, functioning. We know that they work, because I'm always just on the edge of my seat, wondering. And now to think about finishing this out pro se, I almost feel as though I could probably do just as good a job myself at this point. I mean, this guy's done nothing for me. Nothing. But I don't quite feel comfortable being pro se either, but I'm not going to have a choice. Yeah,
well, I lost my daughter, and if I had my $50,000 retainer, I could have did a lawsuit against the social worker for committing perjury. She lied on the witness stand, so.
Yeah, I mean, and the only difference,
so I know the feeling. I know the feeling. I have lost one of my 6 children, and that is sad.
Yeah, it is terrible. It will consume you as a person, as a parent. Your whole life is consumed behind the fight for your children. And, they know that. They know what it does. I think they do. They haven't had to experience it themselves, because they are the ones that are acting so viciously. I don't know what I ever did to deserve this type of, I don't know if you call it karma or what. I mean, I don't blame God, but anyhow, this is a therapy session. Turn it into a therapy session. But if there's any attorneys listening, I desperately, it just blows my mind why an attorney would not jump on this and say, hey, we have a public official, that has abused her power in every way and abused this mother and children, by lying and altering these test results for her own personal benefit of gaining these little girls. So she can parade them around. They're biracial. She's a white woman, so she looks like she's the great Samaritan, at church and everything. It's these poor African-American, poor little black girls that, they've adopted. And it's like, this is not the case. This woman has stolen these very loved children, and robbed them of their heritage and everything. But anyhow, that's the story. And I'd love to share some of that audio recording at some time, where the lab manager confirmed, oh my gosh, you must have had some really crappy lawyers. This is unbelievable.
Well,
in my eyes, that's my proof.
Well, if you could go to the Administration for Children and Families, which is a part of the U.S. Department of Health, and tell them about your case. I mean, I don't know who you've contacted in Washington, D.C. I mean, you could go to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. You can go to the president, vice president, bring it up. You can do your Congress people, because it needs to be brought up. It should not be swept underneath the carpet.
You would think was about maybe starting with some of our state senators, and I have done that. And there was one that called me back and said, we may be able to do something more if this was an agency issue, but if you're going after her in her individual capacity, that's a little bit different. And I said, wait a minute. When I was fighting this, back when the first set of twins were babies, I was very actively researching, searching, looking over that DSS employee manual. What are the rules on conflicts of interest? What are the rules on employees adopting and fostering, let alone the director, is this a conflict of interest? What does it state in their policy their handbook? And when I would reference that portion that said employee rules and regulations, and I think specifically the conflict of interest, it stated this portion of the manual is under construction. And I remember at the time thinking, oh my gosh, are they rewriting this portion of the handbook to accommodate what she is doing? And I shared that with my lawyer and the reporter I was working with at the time. And they were both, I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And they both, yeah, this is what I'm seeing. And I remember the reporter saying, if that is really what's happening, that is huge. Well, lo and behold, that portion has been revamped and revised, and it is now not available for the public. It's internal only. And I do believe that it basically words things in a way that excuses what she did. Now that, at this point, it becomes an agency issue. And that's a huge problem. If they allowed that portion of the handbook to be rewritten to accommodate her wrongful behavior, that's a problem.
Yeah, I guess that is. I'm looking at a lot of information about the administration, the Child and Family Services, the Bureau, the Children's Bureau, and there's so much information that you could contact a commissioner and get some help. Again, this is fighting at the federal level.
Yeah. Well, you have to go above her, and it's like, who is above the head of the state? Not the governor, because he's not going to do anything. You know what he did? Forwarded my complaint to her. He forwarded it to her. I got an email back, and I thought, am I being punked? I write to the governor, and this is what I get back. I will be forwarding your complaint to the director.
Well, that's where the problem is. You could have written back to the governor and say, you misread the problem. The problem is right now at the state level.
At this point, I think my only hope is to file a police report. And every day that goes by, I sit and ponder that, because it's like.
What would the police report that you file, what would it say?
Well, I was advised by a local law firm that said they could not help me, but they advised me to contact the local Boone County prosecuting attorney's office, the victim advocate's office, and share with them my story. And so I did, and this was a couple of months ago, and the woman was very, very receptive, understanding. She did not treat me as though I was like a Jerry Springer lifetime case, like it sounds. I warned her, this is very complicated, but trust me when I tell you, this is happening. She advised me, by the time we were done with the call, I was in tears. She said, if what you're telling me is true, if this really happened, you need to file a police report. This is a criminal, should be treated as though it was a criminal, case. And filing a police report, she said, is going to be the route you want to go. And she said, if I don't get the help that I am searching, call her back. And after, consulting with my attorney, he's like, oh, don't do it. But this guy, clearly, he's just taken, $20,000 on a guardianship reversal. And here's the thing, who in the hell is paying for the guardian's lawyer? That's about, I would say, probably $30,000, because she's higher than my attorney, and they've put in far more work than my attorney has. I'll bet you they've put in $30,000 to $40,000 for that attorney for this fight over these two little girls. It makes no sense to me. That foster mom can't afford that. You know what it tells me? Somebody's footing the bill for that, and the only logical person would be the director. I think she's decided she wants to purchase my little one from that guardian. She's like, well, I'll pay for your fight, because there's just no winning.
Yes.
I've passed every allegation, cleared my name on everything, and they still have my daughters, and keep pushing this trial out further and further to cost me more and more money. It's drowned me. I'm without a vehicle. I lost my job because they said I had too much going on in my personal life, with concerning my, the kids and stuff, that it was too much and bad for business. So I literally lost my job, last month, it has taken everything from me. I'm just like at the end of my rope going, okay, what's left? Me and God, that's it, And I know he'll never fail me. I know he won't leave me, but
well, Jesse, I really feel for you, and I think the room does too. Natalie said hi. She feels for you. Faye has said hi. She feels for you. Natalie's from West Hollywood, California. Faye is from Richmond, Kentucky. And they both are single parents. They both have lost their children. I think to all the room, they are concerned what is happening because right now, here you are. You thought you got a legitimate attorney. Maybe you should have got 3 quotes before you nailed one down.
Oh, he's the second one I've been through. I hired one initially, had to fire her, lost that money, and now I've gotten him. And
well, what I usually do is I do everything in threes. If I want to get a price on something before I even hire anybody, I need to have 3 quotes.
Well, you realize the consultations are like $250 now. I mean, this is just
well. That's what I'm saying right now.
You can't afford to consult with 3 different attorneys.
Yeah, but Vincent's offering one for 30 minutes for $60.
Yeah.
And his hourly rate, I mean, most attorneys now are at $600 to $1,000 an hour.
I just know, I feel like I know what Vincent will tell me. He's going to say, you need to hire an attorney. You need to hire an attorney.
You need to hire an attorney, but you need to get one that is going to rip you off, too.
Yeah, and I'm out. It's at the end. They bought me out. They have bought me out. So at this point, it's just like, if I could get a really good advocate, someone to guide me along the way, I've already done the hard part. I have cleared my name. With the judge has the facts. The judge has the information.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's just getting before the judge and letting her make the right decision. I mean, I cannot imagine.
Why are you scared about pro se if you don't have the money?
I'm sorry?
Why not do pro se?
I have to. That's what I'll have to do. I'm quite certain that that's what the voicemail was about today from the law firm. This is so-and-so from the law firm. We need to discuss how we're going to move forward with this case. That I know what that means. That means we're dropping you as a client because he's already warned me, that you need to get more money. You need to get more money.
He needs to refund the money. $20,000 is excessively too much money to have spent for your case.
That's absurd. When no motions have been filed, he doesn't even have a clear.
Have you asked for a ledger of his expenses? Have you asked for a ledger of his expenses?
Yes, I have, and I have procrastinated even pulling it up. I mean, I have trauma PTSD. Yes, I have it in my email, and I'll look at it. But it's just like, their word against mine. He alleges that the reviewing of text messages that I've sent him, or reviewing of chat, phone calls and things that we've had is going to be the cost of all that. But even still, that is an unbelievable amount of money. And
I know, $20,000 a lot of good money, especially if he's local.
He's not. Well, we live in a different city, but he's local to the case, and I commute. I do all the commuting. He's never had to travel once to me, I do all of the accommodating of everything. It's unbelievable. I mean, paid for everything out of my pocket, all the testing and the services and stuff that they wanted. Because, again, there's no state involvement in this. This is a probate matter between me and another woman. And they're just going to allow,
Natalie,
but anyhow,
Natalie is asking you, did you file a writ?
No, I haven't, because I am not educated, in that respect. I guess I have not, I'm just one woman, and I'm just taking this day by day. And I guess I need to now, from this day forward, plan to finish this out on my own, which I feel like if anybody could do it, I can. I have that much confidence left in myself that I know how to defend myself. I know that the truth does not need much support, and they have been the ones in the wrong. They have been the ones that have committed a crime, not me. So I'm comfortable and confident, representing myself. But as far as getting myself educated on how exactly to do so, I'll need to definitely look into that. But yeah, filing what type of writ?
Well, I'm looking at it myself here. Of course, this is California. Can you file a written response to a summons by filing out an answer form? You guess you got to answer some questions first. Then
I
you
wish
need to.
I could figure out what those women in that or the right to lie case. How did they get that case before the Supreme Court? How did they get that case before?
It's all on the internet. All you have to do is research. See,
you know, I did talk to the lawyer one time. His name was Bob something or another, and he was very clear. You know, I can't help you. I can't help you. I'm in California. I can't help you. I've got far too much going on, and sorry. You know, that he was pretty much cut and dry. Can't help you, and that's, you know, I understand he's in California, but I wish that I could get some information, you know, on just tell me, how did you do this? You know, how did you win this for this woman?
yeah.
I'm sure it costs them a lot of money.
Natalie just say file writ and discovery, and then EC, who just came in the room, said amen. And then Natalie says further appeal. And what is the case name you're referring to in California? What is that case name?
It's called the Right to Lie case out of Orange County, California. The mother was Deanna Fogarty Hardaway or Holloway, and her daughter, which I don't recall her daughter's name. They may have not stated it, but they filed suit against the Orange County, I don't know if it was just DFS, but they took it to trial where the social workers were, had to, you know, take the stand or whatever, and they were held accountable or prosecuted or whatever for committing perjury.
Well, here it is. It's called the Hartwick versus the County of Orange, number 15-55563, the Ninth Circuit, 2017. And it says that there are no circumstances of dependence proceeding that would permit government officials to bear false written against a parent.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. This happened in 2020. Presley filed this federal action in 2013.
That's the daughter, yes.
That, okay, no immunity. There's no immunity for Lyle social workers. In an icy rebuke to Orange County social workers, a federal appeal court said they're not entitled to immunity for lying in child custody.
Right. They tried to use the qualified immunity rule, you know, to get out of their lying. And for that poor defense attorney for those social workers, boy, she gave it her all. And those judges looked at her and said, ma'am.
Well, the social workers claim that children have no constitutional rights. Anybody that's born in this United States has constitutional rights and civil rights, whether you are 1 day old or you're 100 years old. You have constitutional and civil rights.
Yes.
There's so much here that you could read here. You could read here. There's a lot on this case. There's a lot on this case.
If you watch there's a clip of that, you know, hearing where the defense for the caseworkers pleads her case or does, I don't know what, you know, what you refer to that as, but she, like I said, she gives it her all, and then those judges just go in. There you go.
I'm going to have to close down because my time is 8 o'clock, and I'd like to continue this on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I saved the thing there, but everybody that's listening, you know, please look up this case that they're not supposed to lie.
Yeah.
I want to thank Faye.
And also Google the story. There's a story about my case. It's Missouri Mom Conflict of Interest. If you Google it, you'll see the story that was done originally about my case back in 2019. And there is currently a follow-up story that's in the making. However, I requested my records from DSS for the reporter, and I was responded with a order to garnish my wages for back child support. So not only did they not give me my records, but now they're going to take $300 a month out of my paychecks.
I'm so sorry, Jesse Lake. Thank you for sharing. I got to close my podcast.
Right,
yes, Faye, you are right. You brought up the case to lie before, Faye. You are right. We're just revisiting it again. So that is the case name, Natalie. And thank you, Natalie, for coming back from West Hollywood. Thank you, EC, for being in the room. And I want to thank who else in here? Faye, we have Renee, we have Jessica who called in. Thank you all. And remember to keep fighting for your case. Do not give up. Do not give up.
Thank you.
And God bless you all. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And so
all right,
you guys take a good night and thank you again. This is Bob Pace signing off.